This morning I'm going to take a few minutes to highlight CTA's strategic plan in action. But the first thing that I want to do is I really want to thank all of you for approving the CTA budget. And I want to recognize Secretary Treasurer Goldberg and the Budget Committee and Controller Carlos Moreno. Look, I know you had a lot of hard conversations, but I can't tell you how important it is having more resources available to support the independent expenditures that will get us ready for the critical elections of 2018. The governor's election, the superintendent of public instruction election, and those are going to be very, very important for us. And the political landscape is changing right in front of us as well, you all know. We must be able to make the voices of educators heard in these debates. And as your executive director, I take my fiduciary responsibilities very seriously. With the looming loss of fair share, we have to plan ahead and respond to the needs of the organization in order to support our students and members. And that's why the CTA strategic plan is so important. When you all approved this in 2014, the plan's introduction recognized that aha moment. That moment that you've all experienced when you see that light in a student's eye when they get it. Those moments that change lives and that we all live for in the classroom. The plan was designed to support this passion and dedication to teaching and learning. The introduction of the plan went on to say, this is our time. It's our time as educators to unite around common goals, to work with parents and community groups, and to drive the education agenda in California. We can only achieve success together, and that remains true today. Today's presentation highlights just some of the amazing work that's been going on. It's always interesting to me to hear people say, well, what's going on with the strategic plan? Some people want a binder, that they put on the shelf. Oh, yeah, we're doing the strategic plan. We never created a binder because we knew that would not be very productive. But what we're doing is actually implementing and incorporating the strategic plan in our daily work. And it's been embedded in everything that we do. The work integrates across CTA divisions and focus areas of the strategic plan. I want to point up to the slide there, and you can see all of the areas of the strategic plan in which you all have asked us to do this work. As Eric noted yesterday, advocacy on education is anchored by the development of CTA's student-centered advocacy agenda called the Public Education All California Students Deserve. The agenda was developed by the Advocacy Committee based on research and member input from the strategic plan. It was then tested as part of a pilot organizing project with a few local chapters, tested again through CTA member and voter research, and then rolled out at the President's Conference in 2015. And many of you have responded that was a really great conference with lots of great materials that were made available to our presidents. The advocacy agenda has been incorporated into communication, membership, community outreach, political, and LCAP trainings. It's at the center of our social justice toolkit and the Pledge for Education approved by all of you in January. It's available in English, Arabic, Armenian, Cambodian, Hmong, Spanish, Tagalog, Korean, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese. The victories on Prop 55 and 58 were big advocacy wins in our campaign to provide adequate funding to education and to support English learners through dual and multiple language immersion programs. We have been regularly exposing the agenda of our opponents and making the connections of how the same special interests and billionaires want to silence the voices of educators and other union members with efforts like Prop 32. They were also behind Friedrichs. They were behind Vergara. They're behind attacks on public education employee pensions and the proliferation of corporate charter schools. Now, you can get more information. You can check out kidsnotprofits.com and get a ton of information about our work. And if you keep connecting the dots, you'll find that they often also fund efforts to roll back protections for women, the environment, and LGBT rights. And as the old saying goes, follow the money. But there's a lot going on in the area of transforming our profession. CTA has begun developing programs to support teachers in expanding and refining assessment practices. Remember, Professor Jim Popham joined us at Council, followed by a panel on assessment literacy, and assessment guru Rick Stiggins led the IPD strand at Summer Institute last year. Trainings were offered in all 4 CTA regions this year, with plans for more in the future. And trailblazing chapters like San Diego and Sac City are taking on the over-reliance on student testing within their own districts and getting great results. CTA is working with chapters to renew and revamp local peer assistance and review programs. And PAR is one of our strongest responses to questions about teacher effectiveness. Programs like those in San Bernardino continue to lead the way, where they are offering support to probationary and permanent teachers. Staff are also working on updating all PAR training materials. CTA's Institute for Teaching is leading educator-driven change. Last year, the IFT awarded grants totaling $600,000 to nearly 50 educators last year. Some people got some pretty good grants. Do that division problem. Almost 130 educators applied for funding this year. Using the model of focusing on what works, the IFT also sponsors its innovative expo and regional think tanks. Now, if you don't know about the IFT, check it out at teacherdrivenchange.org. When it comes to doing professional development right, educators training educators, the Instructional Leadership Corps broke new ground not only in California but nationally. With funding support from the Bechtel and Stewart Foundations and NEA, the ILC is a joint effort among CTA, the National Board Resource Center, and the Stanford Center for Opportunity Policy Education. 284 of your colleagues are ILC members, have provided training and instructional support to more than 40,000 educators. The Bechtel Foundation just announced that they want to continue working with us for 3 more years. They like the progress we're making. CTA is the only state education association in the country to have a program like the ILC. Through President Heinz's work on the Alliance for Continuous Improvement, CTA members, including many of you in this room, are serving on various California Department of Education work groups and committees to help California build a different accountability system that gets beyond test scores. We're working with Labor Management Initiative to demonstrate how teachers and administrators can do education change right when there is collaboration and mutual respect. And CTA is part of the global education reform movement through participation in the Atlantic Rim Collaboratory, where countries across the world explore and advance equity, excellence, inclusion, and human rights for all students. You know, CTA's work has even been featured in books alongside Pasi Sahlberg from Finland. So we've gone international. Now, we've talked a lot about the importance of membership engagement and building an organizing culture in CTA. Legendary farm workers organizer Marshall Gans, taught us all about the power of public narrative, using the story of self, us, and now, and how distributed leadership gives us the capacity to grow the labor movement. The membership outreach happening in locals started with a cross-divisional fair share task force that developed a vision and strategies to empower broad-based action. We knew we needed appropriate data on our members. Business division created CTA 360, which many of you are using and have on your iPhones. We are the only state affiliate to have access to a mobile membership app that you're using in your locals. We tapped the staff and leaders who came from right-to-work states to learn from their experience, held membership trainings at every region, and developed the Guide to Membership Engagement that includes materials, flyers, and a host of other resources for you to use. Those materials and much more can be found in the new Leader Resource Center, where you can also get the Member Benefits Organizing Toolkit. And if locals need help, each CTA region has membership engagement grants that are available to your chapters. We are marrying advocacy, bargaining, organizing, professional development, member engagement, community outreach, and social justice through the development of your local control accountability plans. See how the focus areas all start to come together as we are implementing the work of the plan. As outlined in the plan, the NOD department launched smaller leadership academies at the Issues Conference and at every regional conference for chapter presidents. And this year, we held the first ever New Educator Weekend. You know, it was more like an unconference for educators with 3 years or less in the classroom. We thought we'd get about 300 people. It was a pilot project. We didn't know if it would be very successful. We had more than 600 educators register and participate. The trainings were colleague to colleague, and they were blown away by the professional development. My favorite picture was the one of all the members sitting out at the pool in a circle, and I kept wondering if they were looking at the pool out of the corner of their eye instead of doing their work. But they looked really engaged. We have retooled the Community Engagement Toolkit, also available in the Leadership Resource Center. We've expanded the Community Engagement Strand at Summer Institute and continue to work in multiple coalitions like the Tax Fairness, like Reclaiming Our Schools, and Restorative Justice. We've embedded the definition of social justice into every human rights training that we do. We've worked with local chapters to support alternative discipline practices that work for students and educators. And we've launched the Social Justice Toolkit with the ever-popular posters that educators use to great effect. And I was watching the TV the other night, and there was a program about a school, and the first shot was a shot of CTA's poster, one of the posters that you all used in your rally, and I started laughing. I went, hey, that's our poster. It was very cool. Educators can also get sample school board resolutions, safety policy, and information on what to do if ICE should come to your school. The National City Elementary Teachers Association last week mobilized to demand that ICE agents immediately stop targeting parents as they walk their children to school. The CTA board has also contracted a diversity and equity firm to help lead CTA through a transformative process around institutional racism. I'm very proud to say that CTA now has 3 full-time charter school organizers. We are doing some groundbreaking work in helping charter school educators who want to join our union. Our strategy not only includes pushing for charter school accountability and transparency, but also organizing and bargaining first contract campaigns. Now, look, we've had some pretty big wins. CAVA is a big deal. And recently, St. Hope Academy in Sacramento was carded, which was a big deal. I was the Region 2 manager about 12 years ago when that happened, and that pissed us all off when they stole the oldest high school west of the Mississippi River. Right, Sac City? So we're going to get them back. In the last 3 years, we've helped organize 30 charter schools and now have more than 5,000 charter school members. In addition, CTA has converted 10% of agency fee payers into full membership. And finally, around changing our structure and governance, you've all experienced it with the dynamic scheduling of State Council to some interesting debate, which has allowed us to bring in GANs, Popham, and the great panel of local leaders in January who are able to share their LCAP experiences. So I don't know about you, but that's a long list. Makes me tired just thinking about it. But it's an amazing amount of work that you're all engaged in along with our staff. So I'm really going to ask you to give yourselves, your CTA managers and staff, a huge round of applause. Thank you for all your good work. Look, if you want to read even more of the details of the strategic plan in motion, Teresa showed you our report, our year 3 report. We've given you a report at the end of in June for the last 2 years. This is the 3rd year report, and it's just a good reading when you get insomnia some night, but you'll see all the good stuff that we are all engaged in.